So maybe we'll start with that, and then Drava can join us uh, whenever is convenient. Um, so I was gonna let you do a little bit of a summary. So how did we get here? What has happened? What are like the major story beats you remember? What are some of the little threads that you have in your notes or that you vaguely remember? I just want to kind of compare notes here or level set or whatever we want to call it to make sure we all are playing the same game.
I mean, the big starting point, one of the big starting points for me was the Nawalia letting us know that there were 7 dooms coming
Yes.
after, raising her spirit to talk to her to, well, on the face of it, sort of apologize for her treatment, but also forgive her so that she didn't like spend, uh, I don't know, eternity in anguish or whatever. But that was sort of the jumping off point, and then we were sort of tasked. We weren't tasked so much as was pointed out in that council meeting, but we took it upon ourselves more or less to investigate the 7 dooms.
And what do you know or think or suspect about the 7 dooms so far? What are some things connected to that?
I actually forgot what exactly she told us. I think, from what I do remember, she mentions, well, firstly, one of the something went brewing into the pit that we visited based on that knowledge, and also someone on red wings, which I believe we have somehow connected to the being called Red Bishop, right?
Yeah, if I'm recalling correctly, it sounded like she insinuated that the architect of the 7 dooms, or whoever was planning and building these things, was somewhere in the pit, possibly, and that they had plans to unleash these 7 atrocities or dooms or whatever upon Sandpoint. And it sounded like an individual was responsible for them. They were somewhere in the pit, probably.
Yeah. Then of course, Toren remembered that there was probably only one place that could be called the pit in the vicinity of Sandpoint, and we tried to go there.
Mm-hmm. And what have you learned about the pit so far?
Well, there used to be a tribe of goblins.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently this pit also serves as the lair of proverbial Sandpoint devil, but for which those goblins worshipped, or at least the goblin witch worshipped.
We don't know that for sure. We know that they think it's there, according to what their witch and the Longshank friends she brought.
Well,
They
Drava did hear something suspicious going on.
Drava swears up and down and did see something.
Well, what Drava says is that she saw fire and heard something.
Wings, I think.
Yeah, but we still can't exactly
we
say
didn't see
that
thing
to the
ourselves.
devil.
Yeah. But it's clear that the so-called, let's call it like the influence of Sandpoint Devil is strong in that place.
And there was the other influence, the outside influence on that gang that was also worshiping the Sandpoint Devil. I'm blanking on the name right now, but very clearly had some strong religious beliefs about it, enough to get mad at the guy for making it have a second head or whatever he did to the taxidermy to deface it.
Well, that was actually, I think, the Minargul, the witch, who got really upset. That was kind of the reason for the final straw for the falling out between
Okay.
Punch and Minargul. But you're right, there was this other group that was involved in Sandpoint Devil worshipping. Can we talk more about those? Do you remember how you learned about them, how you encountered that group?
Well, I believe that was part of our original backstory, that we have encountered some sort of cult and broke it up. which I believe it was supposed to worship the Sandpoint Devil as well. Yeah, and but I'm not sure we have ever met them again. At least like the humans who would worship the Sandpoint Devil.
Well, sorry, my dog. Well, Rip Nugget was part of that, right? I mean, the goblins at the beginning mentioned Rip Nugget and seemed to hold him in high esteem, if not be like afraid of him, or on following his orders.
Yeah, well, I think.
And then we saw him
I'm
again.
not sure they were like worshipping him. I think it was supposed to, well, that they were worshipping Sandpoint Devil, and then Rip Nugget reanimated as Death Knight and just showed up there, killed their boss, and asserted his power over them. So.
Yeah, and he seemed to be researching something that we're not 100% sure about, but it's definitely seems to be related to the weapon, or what Sevro thinks is a weapon, the flume.
Yeah, but well, and long story short, since we got to the part when we confronted Rip Nugget, that was our climactic battle for which we paid dearly.
Yes.
But it seems that at the very least that this at least one calamity of Goblin Death Knight was averted. So and we have correctly identified him as an undying creature who would eventually try to reanimate, and we took great precautions to prevent that from happening ever again.
Yes. Well, you're on your way to making that a more final, getting this to a more final conclusion. Right now, it's being contained, basically, right at the cathedral where you left the armor under Father Santos's care. Did I drop off here?
No.
No.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I think we were kind of considering Rip Nugget the first Doom, right?
That's what it seemed like.
Yeah. So, and let's talk more about the pit. What do you already know about the pit? You know that the goblins had their lair, or you encountered them on the first level.
I think that's
But that
actually
they
all
lived
we know about it.
deeper.
Yeah, we only know that it goes deeper, and we didn't go deeper because, well, our combat with Rip Nugget was just so harrowing.
Well, I think we know there's also more inhabitants, but we don't really know the nature kind of inhabitants necessarily.
Yes. And Sam, you mentioned that you remember that the goblins actually had their lair originally on a lower level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you remember why they're not there anymore?
They were kicked out by the people invited by Minargul.
Yes, exactly. The cultists, or fellow Sandpoint devil worshippers. Yes.
Oh.
Maybe this was something we were supposed to research in game, but do we know about the history of this place? I can't remember if we learned anything about like
sure.
what it is exactly.
I think last time when you unlocked you added more stuff to the quest log, and I think there's a research thing for the pit where we can grab more.
That's correct. Yeah, you didn't spend a whole lot of time researching the pit. You basically just figured out where it is and then head on out there. There are more sources available to you already that you could tap to learn more about it. And that's part of why I wanted to do this recap, because this is going to be downtime stuff, right? What are you going to look into? Where you want to learn more? So I have added the pit as a tracker here on the quest, so we can keep track of it. I have the Hellstorm focus here, which once again there's the flume, which is what's commonly called the Old Light, which I think at this point, after the events of the last 15, 16 years, is somewhat accepted that it used to be a weapon. But what was news was the Hellstorm focus that you discovered in the tunnels below town. And there's certainly more to learn about that, especially now that you've stumbled into this extensive set of notes that those 12 bulks or however much it was of books and scrolls and materials that Ripnugget was going through. So that's a new source that you could tap. Similarly, there is oh no, sorry, I actually that was wrong. There's the spice nodes, that's in the catacombs. Remember that there was also an office in the catacombs where you had first learned um about the purpose of this, and you learned that there was a spy named, I think, Jasker is the name.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's also still a lot of material that you could, research. So that's one thing. The library that you found that Ripnugget was going through, that might be something to pursue more research in the direction of that ominous name, Lira Rue, that has now come up a couple of times, which really, except for the name, you really don't know anything about it. You know that it's Thessalonian, but that's pretty much it. And you know that Sevro has some strange connection to it.
Yeah, and it seems like, I mean, it seemed like he, Libera, Lulu, held some sort of place of like power or some sort of, yeah.
Yep. So there's also a lot of research to be done in that area. Okay, so I think I'm just trying to kind of like get all of the quest threads lined up for you. I'm not trying to push you one way or another. I just want to make sure that we kind of keep track of all of these things because there's a lot of spinning plates. So we have all of these research avenues where you can certainly learn more. You know that there's more to explore in the pit. You already know that there is some cult of the Sandpoint Devil that allegedly has set up shop on the next level. And then you have the internal politics of the town, right? So you've been able to get yourself in really good graces with the Sandpoint Cathedral. Although Father Santis so far has not really seemed to have any particular agenda other than the fact that it's important to him that the town remembers Nualia in more favorable terms than they currently do. So
That's
he
a
asked
pretty
you.
big agenda in
Hmm?
itself.
It is an agenda, yes, but I'll say that so far you have not seen anything from him that would make you think that there is a what's it called, like another motive on other than what he said about his sincere concern about Nualia's afterlife. So he's asked you to spend some time in town, and whenever the chance comes up, the opportunity comes up, put in a good word, make people reconsider their hate and all of that. Um, so that's another thing. There's um, also just basically rumors still hasn't really come up at all that the ghouls underneath the town. I mean, way back in the very beginning when Nualia's bones were missing, you've dealt with the goblin ghouls, but there is still the chance that there's more of those around. Although you searched the warrens or the tunnels
The
and
ones that
could.
apparently Xanthus made a deal with.
That's right. Yes. Um, you have found out that there is a kind of long-standing understanding between the ghouls and the cathedral that the ghouls aren't causing too much trouble. And I think that's pretty much it in terms of specific quests. Now, what I also wanted to catch up on is you all kind of have your own personal entanglements with some of the people in town for your characters do. So I just wanted to recap a little bit on where you all stand on this. So maybe we'll start with Quillip. So you've been maintaining your relationship with Sheriff Baylor and the Watch, and so far the Watch is keeping you in their good graces. They're not particularly fond of you. I think Baylor personally likes his little corner, has like a soft spot for him, but they're not actively supporting you, really, right? Sevro, you are involved with the Rune Watchers, and there's a couple of names here that I wanted to get straight. Because there's a couple of NPCs that don't show up very often, so I just want to make sure we have the same idea about them. So there's Gandethis, Ilzuari is his first name. Yeah, who's running the orphanage, the Tarandarok Academy.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, remember him?
Yes.
Yeah.
My father
So he's
figure,
always
right?
exactly, yeah. He's like a father figure, kind of mentor. He's been supporting you, but more recently, I think he's been letting you basically make your own explorations,
Yeah.
right? Who else do you remember, or do you have other names on your?
Well, Brother Quink for sure. And then
Yes.
I'm so bad at taking notes, but there's the guy who was very dismissive of Sevro in both the meeting and when I met him in person. And then there's the woman who came to me, and Sevro like kind of fumbled the encounter, but she gave him information about the name Lila LaRue, and like came to him in earnest.
Yes, that's exactly right. So we have Broderd, who is effectively the head of the Rune Watchers, in terms of the organization. But there is Vorik, who's probably the most ambitious scholar among the Rune Watchers. He's the one that kind of laughed you out of the room and that
Yeah.
keeps on trying to minimize your findings. And then there is, I believe, let me see, the last one you described. I think we called her Mira. Yeah, Mira Delvain. She's been somewhat supporting you. You know she has something of interest that might be related to the whole thing, but you didn't quite. Your relationship wasn't quite at the point that she'd be willing to
Yeah.
part with it, right? But you're starting to make your inroads here into the Rune Watchers, who are, as an organization, they are definitely watching you guys. They are interested in, especially in Sevro's career, and see you as an organization. They see you favorably. That doesn't mean that every single individual sees you favorably, but you are starting to make a name for yourself among them. And Toren, tell me a little bit about who you would consider your connections in town.
Well, his primary connection is, of course, Jebel Thorn, the host of the House of the Bluestones. Because she is the primary reason why he even visited Sandpoint in the first place. But, of course, while he trains with her in martial arts in the other, like, mastering his inner energies, he also, well, mostly tries to help other folks out. I believe he should be in rather good relations with the current owner of the Rusty Dragon. I forgot her name, the halfling woman.
Bethana? Do you mean Bethana?
Yeah, Bethana.
Something or other. Corwin.
Yeah,
Corwin.
Corwin, yes. Yeah, Bethana Corwin, because, well, through through Toren's extensive backstory, he actually met Amico in Karlsgard, so he delivered some letters from the caravan back to the Rusty Dragon when he came first there. So he visits the tavern every once in a while. And other than that, he mostly tries to to be unobtrusive to the townsfolk. He often helps people out as for example, just the other week around he helped the family to fix their chimney, and well, of course he also now a part of the team for the sheriff, who for their how did we call it, not unusual suspects, no,
Unusual solutions.
Solutions, right? Yeah, because
Yeah.
like back then we have solved some tough cases for him with our fists.
Yes.
Well, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I have a bit about Jubrail whiskey here, but I don't think we have ever met him, so it didn't come up.
That's true. That hasn't really come up. Yeah. So, and I think Toren's relationship with Jabil is probably the most important one so far. And Jabil has been your mentor, your trainer, your guru, basically, and has shown some concern for you after you had that vision. So it's been oh, there you go. Thank you, Ale. Yeah, so it gave you this like sort of ominous warning, right? There was something that you're no longer, what was it? You're no longer just seeing it, you're walking towards it, something like that. And that definitely turned out to be true. Yeah, so it's a very, very mentoring relationship and growing mutual respect, basically. Yeah. All right. So Ale, it looks like you've joined us. Can you talk, or is there still other things going on? Because I just heard some background chatter there. Okay, it looks like we're not quite there yet. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started though. So we had the town council meeting that was called on request by Charn Scarnetti, as he was criticizing the council and Father Santos personally for risking the safety and security of the town by doing what he would call demon worshipping and summoning of evil spirits and things like that. You managed to turn that situation around, mostly through two quite pivotal moments. One was the moment when Drava returned, which I think at this point you're still not entirely sure why or how she managed to pull that off. She definitely has changed since you came up, or since you left her at her mother's hut. You would notice that wherever she goes, her hair always seems to be a little bit wet. There's like water every now and then dripping from the seams of her clothes, even though she hasn't been in the rain lately. And the pools of water that can sometimes form if she stays too long in one place soon after evaporate as if they've never been there. So it's there's a whole vibe that's going on with her. But it definitely took the wind out of Charn's argument that this group can't even keep itself safe. And the other pivotal moment was when Ketra turned Titus's argument around where Titus was saying, "Oh, you can't send mercenaries out just willy-nilly just because a single bishop here or just because the head of the cathedral thinks it's a good idea. There needs to be a process and official support, things like that." And Ketra just said, "Yeah, sounds great. Let's set that up." There hasn't really been much follow-up on how to do that, but it's also just been yesterday, essentially, that everybody afterwards went home. Father Xantis was verbally somewhat reminded of being more, aware and conscientious in his decision making, but there have been no negative consequences for him. And the town continues to hold you all in pretty high regard. You're well liked in town by the people in general. So wherever you go, people will like nod and smile if they're the kind that would nod and smile. They wouldn't go out of their way to help you, but you feel liked. All right, Ali, are you with us now fully?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Excellent. No worries. No worries. So we just kind of went over the various threads that are dangling and did a little summary of how we got here. So I wanted to also talk briefly about Drava and how Drava got here and her connections in town. So can you talk a little bit about how you remember like Drava's story so far?
Yeah, so it's been a bit of a shock for Drava because between the regular everyday life of helping a bit with the garden with her mother and running errands and what's the name of the guy with the feather serpent? I just had it on my close.
Dwarven Voon.
That's the one. Yeah, doing those kind of things. But ever since coming back, like you say, everything changed. And if the rest of the party don't understand, Drava even less so. Her connection, the things she used to do, she used to, read tarot cards at the Rusty Dragon or in like the street, and now she can't do that anymore. The way, basically, the filter she had for the world suddenly shifted, and it's still this kind of double vision that she's also always had, but now there's contrast to it, like a sharpness, and basically she's just coming to terms with it. She's had arguments with her mother before and misunderstandings, and it'll be fine. Maybe eventually. It's never been this drastic, and there are a lot of things to resolve, but she also knows when to press on and when to just keep going along.
Mm-hmm.
And regarding the things going on in Sandpoint, as you said, the ghouls, she still has some reservations about that. This is how it all started for her, and the bones of Noelia.
Mm-hmm.
Noelia. It's still like there has to be something. Like they dug deeper and found more things, but that mystery is not resolved. So she is still willing to see what's underneath the boneyards.
Mm-hmm. And can you talk a little more about her connections in town? I mean, obviously her mother, who lives just outside of town, but who you mentioned Vorvashali Voon. Anybody else? What is the relationship with Vorvashali?
Well, the trinkets mostly. Drava loves her trinkets, and you can never find better trinkets than with Vashali, or at least anecdotes about them, stories, the background about them. There's also Father Santos, who there's always been this kind of tense relationship. I think a lot of it comes from his past history and also Drava's distrust of the establishment. But at the same time, she recognizes the work being done, and usually helps with a favor or two, procuring some ingredients or helping decipher some texts.
Yeah, and Father Sanchez has been, I think, at multiple times very open about the parallels that he sees between how the town sometimes treats Drava and how the
Which
town.
have always made Drava uncomfortable, but she just goes along with it. Like, no,
Yeah.
I am nothing like her, and yet.
And yet maybe you are
So,
in some ways.
mhm.
Yeah. Great. Okay. So with all of that sorted out, maybe let's do one last thing, which is take a look at your inventory. Are there any things, any items, any stuff where you're like, huh, yeah, right. What were we going to do with that?
I think we did it last time.
No, that was just the selling stuff and bookkeeping. I mean, more in terms of like quest items, because you find, you have a few items that are just curios.
Yeah, we picked up some things from our time in the pit.
Yeah.
Quillip has a couple of keys. I think one of them we used.
I don't have anything because apparently the party looted my body when I when I died.
They did indeed. They're, always use the whole
Which,
adventure.
I mean, understandable, but still, like, I mean, at least they left me with my underpants.
Right.
I'd hope so.
Yeah, especially because you were talking about the keys, Sam. So Quillip has that slender brass key, which looked like it was part of some sort of clockwork mechanism. So I wanted to bring that back to your attention here, that we've seen a clockwork item before. Do you remember that?
No, I don't think so.
And I think it was actually, maybe Quillip was involved in it. It was in the pre-adventure story, the prologue stuff. Does anybody remember that?
Actually, I don't either.
The keys? We
Yeah,
had
well,
the haunted house.
no, remember one of the prologue adventures was a body on the beach when the Sin Spawn came out,
I remember that.
Yeah.
and that body was clutching a clockwork piece
Uh,
that ended up in Vorvashali's property.
Would have seen that then.
Yes, definitely. And you would know that it was a piece that was always kind of teasing his curiosity, because it's an incomplete piece. It looked a little bit like the body of a bird, of a songbird. But there's a lot of pieces missing, and it was always like Wavashali always was kind of like oohing and awing at the craftsmanship and the intricate little details on it, and always was very disappointed that it's in such poor condition. So
We
that's something
found it
to
on the
keep.
beach.
Exactly. All right. That was really I don't think there's anything else that I need to remind you guys of, unless you find something on your sheets right now, or if you remember anything else. Otherwise, I think we can get going.
I don't think so for Sevro.
Toren also doesn't have a lot of things.
All right. Okay. So we're fading in from black. We're seeing what's the Scarnetti counting room, and it smells of beeswax and cold ash. Titus reaches for one of two glasses, pours himself a Magnuma red, but offers. Hang on, please, a sec. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'll start from the top. The Scarnetti counting room smells of beeswax and cold ash. Titus reaches for one of two glasses, pours himself a Magnuma red, but offers none to his nephew. 5 went into the pit, 4 came home. His back stays turned. You had every mother in Sandpoint nodding along, and you spent it on a dead girl with the manners to walk back through the door. Charn sits by the fire, one ankle over a knee, an open folding knife turning idle in his hand, its point ticking against the chair arm. Tick, 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 tick. She wasn't supposed to be alive. I don't trade in supposed to be. Titus faces him, courtly and unhurried, the voice he keeps for when he's angry. Do you understand what sat on that table tonight? Not Xantus or the corpse of some weirdo. The Verizian Compact renews at the autumn vote. 40 years it's held, and whoever takes the mayor's chair decides whether it gets signed again or quietly let to lapse. That is the only prize in this town worth the name. And tonight you taught every loggerhead and fishwife on the Lost Coast to spit when they hear ours. It won't matter by autumn. It will matter exactly as much as I tell you it matters. Be quiet, be patient, through the harvest and the vote. Can you give me that? Of course, Uncle. Charn stands and folds the knife shut against his thigh. He has the door half open before he stops. He's thought of something. He turns back, smiling. You're right. I was too loud. He pulls his coat straight. A man shouts on the cathedral steps he looks a fool, and the whole square watches him do it. But a thing said softly over a fence, cook to server, sister to cousin, and by autumn, nobody recalls who started it. They only know what everyone knows. Titus watches him and says nothing. Don't trouble yourself. Tarn steps into the dark of the hall. Give it a week. And we fade to black. And next, we fade back in, hovering high over the town. We see the sun rising over the horizon, beautiful, glistening Verizian sea. There's a little bit of fog still rolling in the morning, and seagulls are crossing the town. It's busy activity way down below, almost like little ants running their little errands. And where should we zoom in first? Because we have a little bit of downtime. I'm wondering, what are some things that you guys want to take care of?
Some technical issues with my sheet, like the last few details that we were discussing, but we can do that some other time.
Yeah.
It's just the last details.
Yeah, we can figure it out when we need it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Quillip will spend some time doing research. Do we know how much time we have ahead of us?
I mean, you don't really. It's really up to you, honestly. You like I think I laid out the threads in front of you. It's really for you to decide which one you want to pull on and how soon, and that's that.
Okay, well, Quillip would like to learn more about the pit before we go back there.
That seems smart.
Let's see. I think he can try to recall knowledge with Sandpoint lore.
Sure. Yeah. Let's hang on before we actually do the rolls and stuff. So that's good enough for me. Is that basically Quillip is going to spend some time trying to learn more about the pit. How about the others?
I think Sevro is interested in that name. He feels a special connection to it. He felt like the runes on his arms, I wouldn't say burning, but he felt a connection there. And I think he's going to spend some time in those journals.
Okay. Toren?
Yes, and Toren will, of course, go to the House of Lilies because he has an probably, how to say it, probably an origin business, well, to speak with Jabro, because, well, he decided that some of his path needs to be retreaded. So he will ask her for a favor to train to subject him to a training montage.
Okay. All right. So
Um,
yeah.
Drava, just with all that's been happening lately and the conversation with Santos, the way she tries to connect with people through the tarot cards is no longer working, but his words about Noalia still rings close, so she will be trying to talk to people about her experiences with her and try to shift their perspective, like let them know, inform them about who she really was and the circumstances that led to, yeah, her demise.
Okay. So you want to spend some time um seeking forgiveness for Nualia, essentially.
Exactly.
Okay. Great. So let's take it one by one. I guess, still hovering high over the town, we can kind of see everyone moving around. We can say Quillip walking down the streets. I know it's a recall knowledge roll, but I would argue that it's more akin to like remembering some of the older folks in town that have lived here for so long, seeking them out and kind of like tapping their knowledge. I'll say that that's
Yeah.
our explanation for that roll here. So give me a recall knowledge roll.
Mhm.
Very nice. That is a success. So let me say you have now 3 research points. Um, Unfortunately, that doesn't really like you run around and you meet some of the people you remember from that have always been here, and you ask them about, do you know that place out on the Devil's Platter, the pit? And they tell you all sorts of stories, but you're not exactly sure about how trustworthy those are. And you're really not learning a whole lot more that's tangible about it. But, keep chipping away. Um, Sevro, you were looking into, what was it that you were
Oh, the
looking into?
journals for
The journal.
love. Yes.
That was from what you took from the pit.
Yes. Or I think that's the relevant journals, right?
Yeah, I mean there was the whole stuff that you brought from the pit. I think you brought it on the floating disc, right?
We did,
Because that
yeah.
was quite a lot of stuff. Yeah, so it's, I guess, organizing that, setting it up in your space, to have it cataloged and because they're all priceless historic artifacts. That much is clear, and you can most certainly spend some time going through them. So it's an academia lore, library lore, or a straight up arcana check.
Okay, I'll do the Arcana. You want it secret or public? Okay.
It's okay if you do it publicly. There's no real benefit from doing this one. And that's arcana. Yeah, you spend a good amount of time cataloging it, getting everything in order. It's been clearly just piled on top of the disc, right? You just grabbed everything and um, didn't really think through to preserve the original arrangement. So it'll take some time to make sense of this before you can really dig in and learn something substantial. Um, Drava, you're going around, you're telling people to kind of reconsider the way that they think about Nualia. And give me a diplomacy check.
Check. Is it public rule or?
Yeah, you can do a public roll. Nice.
Nice.
Very nice. Yeah, you start talking to people, and a lot of the conversations you have, you can't shake the feeling that if you were to swap Nualia for your own name, you would have very similar conversations. Um, but yeah, you do see people move. I mean, you're not going to convince anyone in a single conversation, but you're definitely planting some seeds. It's a
I'm just trying to humanize her and
exactly.
make
Yeah.
people like put themselves in her shoes or just
Yeah.
empathize with her.
Exactly. And it's not like everyone you talk to immediately sees the error of their ways, but you see like in some of their faces there's a certain softness that starts to spread with some of them. So definitely well worth the effort today. Toren, you're approaching the House of Bluestones. Let me find my notes. And you find the house quiet this morning, as always, very nicely kept or neatly kept. It's swept clean. It's cool in here, despite the sun outside already heating up. The smell of stone and clean water. And Jabal Sorn sits on the floor in the center of the room, not meditating, just breathing, hands loose on her knees. She doesn't open her eyes when you enter. She just seems to be listening, maybe to your footsteps, maybe to something else. She takes a deep breath and she says, "You came in heavier than you left. I mean, not your body. I mean, the other thing. You're carrying something." And then she lifts up her hands as if she was grasping something invisible in front of her and opens her eyes. "With both hands. And you're pretending it's only one. Come in. Sit. Tell me about the figure in the flames. You found it, didn't you? The one from the tapestry I gave you? So, was it a warning after all, or only an observation?"
And Toren will he will like sit like next to her in in the kneeling position, like like so, let's say traditional one. He will like unlock the gate attenuator where he kept the piece of the tapestry, like unwrap the piece, put it in front of him, like, and he'll say, "Yes, my master. It it was not it was not just a premonition, and I return here heavier, not so not just like like not just in weight but also in spirit. And let's just say he will recount the events that were happening in the pit, so so I would not repeat it again from the start. And at that point, closer to the end, Toren will, with a deep sigh, will confess his doubts and I forgot the word. I'll just say he says that while I trained here in the past years, I felt that my path was very clear. It was I could see the end, and it was perfect and understandable that the mastery of self was a self-evident thing. And now I can see the folly of such sight. You might say selfishness, the assuredness that I alone can see something that is that is in front of me. But now that I have tested my foresight in real world, I can see that it needs to be measured not by my own judgment, but by the measure of the trials that stand before me. Therefore, Master Jabel, I need more guidance. Please help me.
And she nods and she says, you see, you expect a path to be laid out in front of you. And that's what it is when you start on your journey. You see the path trampled in front of you by the footsteps of those that came before you. But at some point, there are infinite paths in front of you, and you have to decide which one to take. There's only so much guidance I can offer you. And she pauses and then says, do you know that when I found my own gate, I stopped breathing for the better part of a minute? Very nearly did not start again.
Toren will like raise his eyebrow. In his thoughts, he thinks, I mean, she probably can just not breathe, right? I mean, she's powerful enough to do that.
Well, but she's talking way back when, right? Like when she found her gate. And she says, I'm telling you this because there is a moment when we realize that we are no longer entirely a student. And you said it yourself, Irori teaches us to master ourselves. I think you are getting to that point, Toren. You can't look for my guidance much longer. You will need to find your own guidance. Follow your own advice.
Well, but Master, to retrain a feat, I need to be guided by someone who has that feat already, so... so I need your help.
Yes. We will take care of the mechanical needs of this system. And she says, I can't show you the path, but I can help you to continue on it.
Well,
and then she gets up. Yeah, she gets up and the training montage begins. Yeah. All right. Doom. Cool Kung Fu soundtrack as the training montage continues. And so I think for Toren, we're gonna do it. So how many days do you need for retraining?
Well, it needs to take the whole week, so...
Needs to take the whole week. Okay. So that's fine then. You're basically busy for quite some time. For everyone else, it's really only reflected about a half a days of work. So if you wanna continue to doing the same thing, you're welcome to just roll again, or you can do something else.
Sevro's gonna keep digging.
Yeah, if you allow, I mean, Toren also might take the check of Sandpoint lore about the pit while. Well, he probably will like take a bit of breaks somewhere for evening meals. So while he would visit the Rusty Dragon, he will probably talk to some people there to ask, and also ask around about what other people know about the pit. There may be some adventurers visit. Because Rusty
Okay,
Dragon
yeah, I think we can count that as light activity, basically, yeah. Drava, I just noticed that the seeking forgiveness you can only really do once per day, because otherwise it'll kind of become annoying, I guess, to people if you... So
yeah,
you might
that makes sense.
Yeah, so you might want to find something else to do.
Well, there's the issue with the goblins, and I mean, I've been talking to Father Santos, so I know the version he gave to the party, but I would try to see if he would open up to me a bit more, like be more forthcoming with what exactly the arrangement he has is, and yeah, how to proceed.
Okay. All right.
Because He did mention the other, like the ghoul, the clever duel, ghoul. What's
What?
his name? Sorry, I have it here in my notes, which I accidentally closed. Notes for Drava. Very cleverly titled. Uh, so when we first went down to the boneyard, we ran into the not so nice ghouls, but there was another one that explained that he had a kind of agreement with Father Santos.
No, I don't think you met any other ghouls.
No, Father Santos told us that he.
Yeah, okay. So he told us, but we've not met anything. We've not met anything that we haven't killed. So I would maybe try and see if I can find anything with a more peaceful approach.
But you mean talking to Xantus, if you can find anything?
Yes, first talking to Santos. Yeah, see if he can disclose more than what he initially told us.
Okay, let's see. We'll get there in a minute. So Sevro, you've done another Arcana check. This one is a success. So you're starting to like your note-taking system is starting to make sense. You're starting to build a little bit of an index of everything. You're making some progress here. So you definitely score a research point with that check.
Excellent. Yeah, I think Severo, I mean, you guys have seen Severo's a little scatterbrained. So at first he was just going in with pure passion, but then he remembers his academic training, his organizing, all the structure for research, and slows down and gets it right, maybe.
Yeah. And late in the afternoon, I think you're getting up from your desk. You're walking around over to maybe get some more tea, or replace your ink quill, and you notice that a small note, looks like cheap paper, folded up, has been pushed under your door step, sitting right in front on the inside of your door now.
He kicks it back out. He has no time for notes. No, I'm just kidding. He goes over and and opens it up.
Throws it straight into the fire.
I'm too busy. Yeah. So you pick it up, you open it up, and the ink is slightly smeared. So somebody clearly hasn't had, was in a hurry and hasn't been blotting it and waiting for it to dry. And it's just a hurried handwriting. It says, "Not the shop, my house, after dark. Bring what you took out of the ground, all of it. Vorik already knows you found something Thessalonian. Do not let him see it before I do. Please. M." Full stop.
Okay. Very interesting. Okay.
I'll let you sit with this for a minute here while we do the others. Quillip, you gonna continue?
Yeah, I think Quillip will keep digging for the pit.
Go for it. That's a Sandpoint lore. Nice. That is another success. And with that, you hit another threshold here. So first, check that box. And hit save. And then I will tell you what you find about the pit. You learn that the path you took was definitely not the best approach. The safest route to the pit is actually to take the Lost Coast Road south to Cougar Creek Road, and then follow the road southeast past Trennell's Farm and Saul's Farm and turn east along Wisher's Trail. And once you reach Wisher's Well, you head north and then rise up to Devil's Platter, much more gently, so that it becomes a lot more easier and climbable to get up there. And from that point, the pit itself is just a half mile north of the climb. And you also learn from some of the elder folks in town that the real person to ask about the pit would probably be Broadard, Quink, because there's surely more information among his collection of old books.
Okay.
So what you it's essentially, you learn a better path to the pit, which will decrease your travel time, make it a little easier to get there. And I mean, you already have the source, Broadard Quink. We were already aware of it, but that's another confirmation that he would be a good source to get more research done. Okay. So Drava, you in the afternoon, you seek out Xantis, who's delighted to see you. He's he multiple times he says, "Oh, I'm so glad you're taking the time to visit an old man, and I'm glad to hear you're not just rushing off to the pit right away again." Um, and he invites you in for some afternoon tea, and is happy to entertain the conversation. And you said you wanted to see if you can like have a more gentle conversation to see if you can get him to open up a little more about the whole ghoul situation you mentioned.
Yeah, I got the impression not that he was deliberately hiding from us, but just maybe
Right.
just telling us what he thought was necessary and nothing more. And I'm of the impression that maybe we should know more.
Okay. So why don't you give me a diplomacy check? See as you approach this. How diplomatic are you about your ways? Not particularly.
No, I'm
Def-
trying to be diplomatic, but there's something off about Drava. It's the sea smell, and the eyes are even stranger, and yeah, that certainly puts Father Santos on guard.
yeah, and I think what it ends on is like he's generally again he has a bit of a soft spot for you, right? So you can definitely it would take a lot for you to truly insult him to get him upset, but you do notice that he's like a little, well, not tired, but he responds in a way where he says something to the effect of, let's stay focused on the immediate problems. There's enough on our plate. We don't need to revisit settled matters, that kind of thing. Like there's nothing to be gained by revisiting old decisions. We
No,
have enough
I'm
on
not
our
trying to reopen old wounds. On the contrary, I know the importance of maintaining them, and that's why whatever arrangement you have in the boneyard, the conditions have changed. We went down there. We saw things and fought things and killed things. Whatever arrangement you had down there, you need to tell us more about it if you want to maintain the peace in the boneyard and in Sandpoint.
Yeah, and like I said, you're not quite approaching it in a way where he seems uh, receptive to it. So you make your point sharply, and he says, "Please understand, my child, that," and it's maybe that's bothering you. He starts to be a little condescending here. "Please, my child, understand that all I ever wanted for this town is to protect it, and in this case, I need to protect you as well. You have enough dangerous and ominous threads lingering in the future. We do not need to mess with settled affairs." And after that, he doesn't really give you a chance for another round, and just kind of gets up and says, "I have to prepare the evening service," and invites you, or not invites you, he politely, not ushers you out. He welcomes you to stay around the cathedral, but he's going to be busy, so he won't be able to continue the conversation. You can give me a perception check if you want to sense motive.
I would definitely try to do that. Like Trava's discordant eyes will definitely try to see through whatever is going on. What kind of roll is that? Perception?
Perception. Yep. 22. 22, it's there you don't get any sense of malice. He's not trying to trick you or cheat you is your read on his reaction. You think that his concern is genuine, his concern about like adding to your plate and adding more things. You
He
detect
still treats me like a child.
exactly, yeah. And you detect like a hint of you don't know what it is. Maybe it's don't think it's guilt, maybe it's shame, maybe it's just discomfort of the topic. It's really hard for you to tell. But he's just clearly uncomfortable talking about it, and he honestly thinks it's unproductive to discuss it. Like there's no deception in his words that you can discern.
Well, if that's my afternoon, there's one little thing that I would like to do,
Mm-hmm.
and that is Quillip has been really going above and beyond with his concoctions, and I promised him that I would get him some, ingredients and supplies. But I have a big distrust in the Nistander and his bottle solutions, and which I've been quite vocal about, I believe. So I would go to the Pillbox pantry and just get an assortment of things for Quillip with whatever gold they have.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, give me a moment about that. I need to think about that for a moment.
I want to make a nice gift for Quillip for patching me up way too many times.
Right. Okay. Before we go over to that scene, I guess I mean, it is now late in the afternoon. You could probably catch like the tail end of Puddicker's or the pantries opening hours. Do you want to do it the very same day or do you want to do it the next day? Ali?
I think like late afternoon is actually the best time to meet him. Like the shitty hours, customers are going off. It's near closing time, so.
Yeah, so and that's basically when you get there. So it's like somebody is leaving his store.
He's about to
And
flip the like closed sign.
exactly, and then you just like kind of push your foot into the door before
you're
you can.
that person.
Yes, exactly. And he looks at you through the warped glass in the front door, past the open closed sign, and he says, "Oh, Drava, I had heard you were indisposed." And he opens the door fully. "You look like the sea spit you back out. Sit. Come on in. Sit. So,
I feel like the
what's
sea spitting my back.
yeah, you look the part. What does bottled solutions need that they can't mix themselves, huh? Come on in."
I mean, they can do flavor, but they can't do effect. I've been a witness to that. And on that topic, that's why I'm here. You're familiar with Quillip, right? Been hanging around Bottle Solutions for a while.
It's a little gnome. Sure. Yeah, you can tell him that his asset's only going to be as good as the glass it sits in. So if he ever wants to get some professional materials, he's welcome to come and buy some.
Well, that's exactly what I'm here. He is quite proficient despite the limitations of some of the ingredients he has had to work with, but he's come through. And, well, you can only get patched up so many times. You can only come back from death so many times. I'd like to get some special ingredients, something that alchemists with potential would appreciate. Something that you would not find in the open market, perhaps.
Oh, Drava, I keep only the finest ingredients around for my own craft. I can't just hand out my treasures to everyone.
Oh,
But that being said, I'm sure we can find a nice collection for your little friend and his little experiments.
and I'd like to remind you, plenty of those ingredients, I bring them to you myself, and I will pay in coin. You're not doing me a favor, you're doing business.
No, I did not expect any less, he says, and he gives you like a little bit of a shark's grin. And he rubs his hands, he walks off, and like picks out various things and like mumbling to himself, like a little bit of this moss and a little bit of the merchant bird, and he puts together.
That's poisonous, I brought you that.
Yeah. I know it is, yeah, but in the right amount, it can actually be a quite potent catalyst for certain concoctions. And he continues to pull together a nice little selection of things and sells it to you. So let's see, is there something like I know there's no such thing as masterwork, but an alchemist's kit, some improved version of that?
Is there? How much of the cost?
Or anything we could use here as an example, or we
Actually, like if you just make it a gold value of ingredients, Quillip would be fine with that because he's got some experiments coming up where he'll just
And that would
turn
make sense, like some weird ingredients for Quillip
Yeah.
to experiment with.
Yes, for sure. So it's basically a pouch with decent ingredients
Components.
worth, yeah, decent components worth. How many gold are you willing to spend? Because he will take it all.
Yeah, no,
eight, 8 is good. 8 is a good number.
yeah,
Eight
it's
gold.
a good number.
Well, look at you! You found some coin at the bottom of the sea, huh? All right, I won't complain, he says as he takes in your money and hands you the pouch.
All right, I am taking off 8 gold.
Always a pleasure, Drava. Stay dry, he says, and closes the door behind you.
Yeah, and we can also assume there's a bit of like gossip and like not much into details, but yeah, there's some small talk with the good old pillbug. All right, that's it.
You can give me a perception check and make it a secret one. I think there should be a sense motive action actually if you go to your basic action macro.
Basic action macro, sense motive. Okay.
Yeah, I mean he's his usual self, oily,
Always dodgy.
yeah,
So
always dodgy, but always kind of polite and
yeah,
professional.
I know
All right.
there's things he's not telling me, and I'm not gonna dig into them.
Yeah. The next day. Oh no, sorry, I went ahead here because maybe I don't know, Sevro, if you wanted to act on the note already, because it was about.
I think Sevro's actually kind of inclined to because he doesn't like what's the name?
Vorik.
Yes, he doesn't like work, and I mean, despite his sort of bungling of the situation with Mira, he thinks she's of a like mind. So I think he might actually. I don't know if he'd bring all of it, but he'd bring what he feels are the most relevant parts because all of it was on that huge or the disc and would not exactly be inconspicuous, but he would at least bring a good portion of it.
All right. Very good. So you find Myra Delvane's rooms 2 flights up over Chandler's. There are books on every flat surface and also on some that aren't. She opens the door before you even finish knocking, she like pulls you inside, slams the door shut behind you. After looking past you into the street, up and down, if anybody was following it, she's like being super secretive about it, even though, I mean, you're excited about this stuff too, but you don't get that level of paranoia about it, right?
Yeah. He probably
Um,
talks too loud and is like, "No one followed me. I'm fine. Don't worry."
it's just, I'm sorry, Sevro. I'm so glad to see you, she says. Oh, it's just, he cornered me at the Goblin this morning. I mean, Vorik, of course, all
Of course.
smiles. Yeah, he was all smiles, asking whether the cathedral's little expedition had turned anything interesting up,
Little
anything of
expedition. I hate
goal
that
interest.
man.
That, of course, that's what he called it. You know him. And then she wipes her hands on her skirt and she says, "You know, he means to put his name at the top of it before you can even say a word about it. So come on,
He's
come
always
on.
first author. He's never been a second author in his life. He doesn't even know
Never,
what that means.
never. Doesn't, nope, he never don't knows how to share the spotlight. Anyway, come on in. Show me. What did you bring out of that place?"
Yeah, and so Severo spreads what he brought, and he's like, "Of course, this is between us for now until I figure out exactly what we have. But this is what we found so far. Um, Anything you could help shine light on would be hugely helpful for me. And I, unlike him, will give you any credit that's due. But it's a lot, and I could use a little bit of help, like leafing through it."
Okay, yeah, no, of course. I'd be more than happy. And as you like lay out the few things that you brought with you, it's like in Pulp Fiction opening the briefcase. It's like her face kind of
Yeah,
kind of lights up,
absolutely.
but- and she goes like, "Wow, wow!" And she runs her fingers very gently over the parchment and the book bindings, and it's just like, "I can't believe it. This is really, really amazing. You must have found a true Thessalonian repository of some kind. Absolutely amazing. So what did you learn so far?"
Well, this name keeps popping up over and over again, and I mean, there's some connection between me and it. And he gestures towards like the runes on his arms. And he's like, "I'm not sure how all of this fits together yet, but the flume, the Leoru, uh, all of these facts. I don't want to go crazy with uh, suggesting patterns where there are none, but there's got to be something here that I'm not quite seeing." And so I'm just putting my nose in and trying to figure out exactly how these facts fit together.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, four eyes see more than two, so let's get started, shall we? I'll
Yes,
get us some
absolutely.
coffee.
Thank you.
And the two of you dig in. It sounds like you're just as enthusiastic as her, so you're gonna be willing to pull an all-nighter here?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So why don't you give me um another academia lore, library lore, or arcana check?
Okay, I'll keep doing Arcana.
Nice. Um Oops, sorry, I'm messing up my notes here. There we go. Okay. Uh all right. So she's very excited about the whole thing, and a voracious reader, a meticulous note taker, very organized in her work. She's just an academic professional, and she is also blown away when you at some point mention that fragment, the Lira LaRue name on a piece of
Yeah.
parchment is actually in your handwriting. Or maybe she even notices it as you're taking notes. She like notices that the LaRue parchment is written in the same handwriting, and she like stops and says like, "Is this some kind of joke? Did you write this yourself?"
He like shrugs and is like, I don't recall doing it. It's not something I intended to do, but it is odd. It is very, very odd.
And she brings up a loop and she looks closely at it and she says, "No, that's not. This is old, right? This isn't.
Exactly.
This is impossible." And just fascinating. And keeps muttering to herself as she continues to help you make sense of it all. All right, so let's see what the two of you find before we look at consequences. Um. All right. You learn through the few things that you brought. As you mentioned, you didn't bring the whole thing, right? So there's only so much you can find out here, but
Yeah.
you figure out that Rune Lord Karzug, the Rune Lord of Wrath that rules these parts, ordered the construction of hidden complexes in the region known today as the Pit.
Oh.
And apparently he was intending to use them as a base of operations for a spy network. And this is the big breakthrough for the night, happens at like 4 a.m. You know the red string on the corkboard finally comes together.
Yeah.
The wizard in charge of the operation was a woman named
Little Brew.
Lyra LaRue.
Okay.
And with that, the two of you look at each other and just like laugh and chuckle and hug and high five.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
amazing. Amazing.
Bust out the brandy or whatever goes well with coffee.
Exactly. And with that, we're fade to black from this scene. Give me a fortitude save.
That's gonna go poorly, probably.
$17. Okay. All right. So we hear the seagulls, and then we hear the sounds of the carts in the streets and the chandlers below busily revving up production, people chatting, walking along, their footsteps heavy on the wooden floorboards. And then we see Sevro, his face on the table, drooling, just passed out from exhaustion, still at Myra's place. Myra somewhere in the back, like leaning back with her notebook resting on her chest, just also passed out. And you're gonna have a pretty slow day or be fatigued for most of it. What is it gonna be?
Okay. I mean, I think he's happy to be fatigued for it. Like, even if he's sick in the morning or tired, he's smiling through it because he figured out something that he didn't previously know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so you can think about whether, you're basically gonna make a fresh pot of coffee and continue the work. Maybe there's a little more here. Maybe you can go and fetch some more materials or bring Myra over to your place. That's for you to decide.
Okay.
But while you think about that, what are the others gonna do today? I know, Toren, you're gonna keep on listening to 80s music and retraining.
Pretty much, yes. Punching logs.
Yes, exactly. But Quillip, Drava, what are your plans for the day?
Well, if Drava drops by with the reagents she picked up, that would remind Quillip that he had something he was planning to work on.
And that's probably
No,
what
no.
Drava would have done first thing in the morning. Just like
Okay.
drop that and coffee. Because I know how alchemists love their chemicals.
Nice.
Yes. And with that, he's gonna shut himself in for the next 2 days, trying to come up with a solution to the lead-in problem we've been having.
Oh, nice. Okay. So Drava, what do you do? Quillip, clearly.
Apart from that, I would continue talking to the townspeople about Noalia and try to get their perspectives, but also try to like make them see and try to understand like, well, if you would have been in that position and imagine yourself and how much Sandpoint means for them and for her and for everyone. And yeah, just keeping on with that.
Excellent. Give me another diplomacy check. Very nice. Yeah, once again, it takes about half a day. But this is really good for your mental health because it's like you're talking to people in your community. You're actually feeling feeling like you're making an impact here. I mean, it's not like all of a sudden everybody is an Walia fan, but just like talking to actual people can be very rewarding. And so far,
Yeah,
it's been
especially after all that's happened, both with Noalia and with Drava in the pit. Like exactly that, like talking to people and feeling that I'm not just a walking corpse.
Exactly.
Even though people are still a bit, like I've always been strange to them, and that's almost familiar and comforting.
That's true. It definitely didn't get better with the strangeness.
Yeah, but it's like a familiar kind of strange, like it's our kind of weird kind of thing,
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So Sevro, have you made a decision how you want to spend the day?
I mean, I think Sevro, from a personality standpoint, is just going to want to keep going.
Okay. All right.
I mean, even if I don't know if it's a mechanically smart choice, but Sevro, 100%, is just going to be like, once he wakes up, no matter how tired he is, he's going to doggedly pursue it.
Okay.
Should we go back to the pit? Are we pitting to
that? I mean, I don't know. We can talk about that.
I don't think.
I don't know if Sevro's ready to go back adventuring just yet, but he's certainly ready to pursue the mystery a little more.
All right, let me see another Arcana roll, or Academia, or Library. All right, that's another success. Yeah, so you continue to make some progress here, but you're getting the sense that without access to all of your materials, you're probably getting to the end of the rope here.
Okay.
But still, it's always good. Then both of you are just itching to learn more, for sure. So that's half the day. And what do we do with the back half of it, like the afternoon, early evening? It's really just about Drava and Sevro because the others are quite busy.
I think Severo will continue this, though he's thinking he needs to meet up with the crew eventually or in the near future to discuss next steps.
Mm-hmm. So well, you can, like I said, so you get the feeling that
I'm at the end. Okay.
Been through the materials that you brought you, so you can either go and get more or bring Myra over to your place and continue the work, but
he'd probably do that because
okay.
Yeah.
Yep, that works. So then let's do another Arcana check.
All right. Man, what are these rolls? Not great.
Yeah, and the long hours are starting to show their effect here. It's really hard for you to keep your eyes open. And by the end of the day, you are literally exhausted. So you just feel like you're about to pass out if you don't get some sleep soon. Do you still want to?
No, I think at that point, I think he excuses himself, and it's like I need to rest, but we'll get to this again in the near future.
Yeah, and Myra can't hide her disappointment, but is also, you can tell, just as exhausted as you are, and she nods enthusiastically, and she like grabs armfuls of notes stuffs them in her leather bag that she brought, and says, "Of course, no, I totally understand, and I have a lot of writing to do and compiling, and I'm sure then if I can
You should get
color
sleep
code it."
too.
Okay, you think? But
Really?
there's
Yeah. Yes. No. We both need it.
can't wait. This is well, I'll see what I can do.
Look at the last of your writing compared to the first. That's how tired we are.
Okay. I guess you're right. And she takes her leave. Um, Drawas, was there something you wanted to do with the afternoon, evening?
Yeah, in the afternoon we already did the Noalia thing. Does the cathedral have a library?
No, I don't
No,
think so.
okay. I didn't think so either. Um, no, because I was trying to find out more about the goats, but I don't think we can do anything more without going down there. I think Drava's just gonna wander around almost like a corpse, trying to like almost muttering to herself and trying to come to terms with all the changes. There's this cormorant following her around, which is very distressing.
Okay. Why don't you give me a perception check, Drava, as you just kind of like stroll through the city, just enjoying being a part of town again. Um, yeah, like I've said, it's somewhat refreshing. The chance you had to talk to so many people in the morning kind of starts to shift your perspective on the whole town a little bit.
To breathe and to like suddenly realize I had a very close call.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a calm afternoon for you that turns into a quiet night, and we're gonna skip ahead to the next day. Plus 1 day. There we go. Go to sunrise. And a little bit later. All right. Sevro, this morning, I mean, the sleep was absolutely necessary. You feel relatively mechanically well rested. Certainly could use a little more rest here, but your brain is already racing again. But you also haven't talked to your friends in almost 2 days. So what do you do?
I think. Yeah. I think he's gonna start looking for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much he knows of what they've been doing, but whoever he thinks he's most likely to find easily enough will go out in search of them.
Yeah, I mean, you know where Quillip has his
Yeah, I was gonna
workshop.
say, Quillip's
You know
probably
that Toren is, yeah, that Toren is most likely at the House of Blue Moon. Drava is probably the hardest to track down because she tends to roam around.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not sitting still.
yeah.
Yeah, I think he'd probably go to Quillip because he almost can guarantee you Quillip's going to either be in his laboratory or somewhere else.
Okay. Do we want to do a little scene there, or how do we want to take it? I'll leave it to you because it's just between the two of you. If you just want to brush it off and say Quillip needs another day to finish his thing.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's some emergency that comes up.
This is Sandpoint, so probably.
I think Sevro, I mean, if he knows that Quillip's going to need more time, Sevro's probably interested enough in what Quillip's doing to be like, can I help? Can I be your like lab assistant? And, help out. But he's not going to obviously try and like get him to leave his work.
Hmm.
Well, in that case, Quillip will take the extra day to finish this.
Okay. And do you let several help or?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's very ethical to ask you to like slash your wrists and me try to fix that.
See if it works.
So
Oh, that's what you need. Yeah, maybe I'll just spectate.
All right. Torin continues his training as well. Drava, what do you do today?
Sorry?
How do you spend the day?
It's a new day?
Yeah.
Yeah, then I'm still trying to figure out things for myself. And yeah, and this strange connection I have with Noalia. So I do that a bit in the morning. Also because it's a way to deal with the fact that I can no longer read the tarot for people. And people do approach me and I try to divert with that and with conversations.
Mhm.
And hopefully nobody notices yet that I don't even have a deck with me. I'm not in my usual spot. And yeah, there's certainly something off. And I guess there's also like a bit of curiosity from the people of Sandpoint. They do love their little gossip. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
I
There's
got to talk to the woman who came back from the dead. She's as
exactly.
weird as ever.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to give me another diplomacy check?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Like you run into a couple of like hushed whispers, and maybe it's because now that you had like 2 days where you had almost exclusively good interactions with townsfolk, and it was really surprising you. But you also weren't expecting anything positive. You were expecting them to be kind of dismissive of you and rejecting you in a way.
Yeah.
Um, and now that you've gotten used to people actually being nice, it's a little more, it hits you a little harder when some people give you the cold shoulder and are like, "Oh no, not you. I don't want to talk about with you. Or I don't want to talk about that dead uh that dead demon lady," and
Yeah.
just don't seem to be very open to your talk. And it's one comment that really stays with you as one person brushes you off and says like, "I think they should have never let Xantus get away with it so easily. I have a cousin that has a farm outside of town and they are already seeing like more signs of demons. He told me," and he tells to the other people standing around you, not to you, but he's basically telling the other people like, he told me that he found strange tracks on the roof of his barn. They were still smoldering when he saw them, and he swears. And then he like lowers his voice and he looks around. He says, "They looked like hoof prints." I'll tell you, Sandpoint Devil is stalking the hinterlands.
I try not to like validate him, but it definitely catches my attention. But yeah, the creature that I saw and heard in the pit might actually be going out. It doesn't sound as far fetched, but I do try to dismiss him like, you're crazy, go away.
Yeah. And it doesn't take much because he's not interested in talking to you either. So
Yeah,
yeah, you just kind of both go your
yeah, there's this
ways.
like sharp exchange of words and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sevro, after Quillip politely brushes your offer off, at least that's how I understood it. Do you go back to research, or what do you do?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, all right, they're not ready. I'm good to go with research. So he'll go back to Mira and bring his
Okay.
materials.
Yeah. And she is, of course, ecstatic that you're keeping her in the loop on the whole thing. So give me another Arcana check.
Okay. There we go.
Whoa, very nice. Very, very nice. Okay, so let me get that accounted for. And then I can tell you the consequences. All right, so you spend another couple of hours going through it. You kind of like you've been through all of it at this point. And now you're going through it again. And it kind of now, you have a different perspective. And at some point you both like put your books down and you compare notes and you construct this narrative where you're now convinced yourselves that the uppermost levels of the complex, known as the pit today, were used as barracks for spies, which kind of makes sense given the place that you found all of this material in.
Mhm.
And it is here where Liralaru discovered a strange slab of transparent crystal that had unusual divinatory powers that she was able to enhance. And you like go through the whole stack again, like what does this mean? Is there more about this? What does it mean enhance? Crystal? What? We haven't seen any crystal down there, but no further information
Okay.
about this can be found in any of your stuff. Eventually, Myra produces a piece of parchment from her bag, and she somewhat sheepishly says, "Ah, it almost feels like it doesn't even matter that much anymore. Back when I first discovered it, I thought it was the most important thing in my entire career. But given this," she makes a sweeping gesture at all the books and scrolls you brought. Given all this, it almost seems insignificant. But I guess I promised I would show you eventually. So I apologize. I didn't do it sooner. And she puts it down and she puts it down in front of you, and you see that it's a single leaf. It's torn down on the left edge, so there's a couple of bits and pieces missing. And Myra has penciled transliterations and her notes on the margin. And you read, "Manifest of the Regalia consigned for the 8th seat, by order of," illegible, "that all stand ready against the day of her recognition. The unblinking circlet that the wearer be seen and not see. One blindfolded, worked with the open eye of," and then something's torn off.
Okay.
And below the manifest, in a different hand, but definitely old writing, there's a single line that's set apart almost like a signature, and it reads, "See me, remember me." And in the margins, you see some of Myra's notes, like 8th of 7? There were 7 rune lords. There's no 8th school in any catalog I've ever read. And then finally at the bottom, she like pressed hard on the pencil. It's almost ripped through the paper where it says, "Vorik must not have this,"
Okay.
which for some reason
Interesting.
she wrote down. Yeah.
The 8th seat. Okay, and there were 7 rune lords, not 8, right?
Yeah, it's been the accepted dogma since probably Thassalon. Yes, nobody's ever heard of an 8th rune lord. It doesn't even make sense. There are only 7 sins, 7 virtues.
Hmm.
And she leaves you, or we leave the scene with that question still lingering. How could this possibly make sense? All right. We have a little bit left here in the afternoon. Sevro, you definitely, or at this point, you're quite certain that you've gotten as much out of these books that you hauled out of the pit as you possibly could.
Okay.
So you feel like you've reached a bit of a lull in your research. But you know where there might be more. Drava, yeah, like I've said, the town as a whole kind of keeps changing in front of your eyes with every person you talk to. It shifts how you feel about the town. And there are these rumors starting to spread that intrigue you and that somewhat connect to what you've seen or heard or felt peering into the pit. Quillip and Toren, well, Toren, your training continues, and it will continue for still some time, but Quillip, I think by the end of the day, your alchemical experiments should show a result.
Hopefully.
Yep. So do you need to roll for that?
Yep. Let's see. He needs to hit DC 20 for level 5.
Okay. Very nice.
Nice.
Sorry.
Okay.
All your hard work pays off. So what did you discover?
He made a powder that you can sprinkle on a bleeding wound, and hopefully it sort of cauterizes it.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. And what is it known as?
Let me pull it. Where was I? What was it?
Is it soothing powder?
Yes, soothing powder keyed to bleeding, because it has to be keyed to a specific type of
That makes sense.
persistent damage.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Very good. Yeah. So you're very pleased with yourself to have created this. The ingredients that Drava brought you, maybe begrudgingly, you have to admit they were indeed top notch. They definitely played a major role in the successful outcome of this. And you kind of like, I don't know, I would think that Quillip being a gnome, probably a little bit obsessive about his work. So I think it's probably almost like you kind of come up for air after this whole thing works out. And now there's this like, what's next, right? But it's late at night. You're probably tired from the day. So I would say it makes sense that we skip ahead once again to the next day. And it's now, by my count, I think it's the fourth day in town. And you might be getting a little restless. I don't know. But things seem pretty stable in town. You still, of course, very vividly remember the talk of the Seven Dooms. You know there is more hidden and buried in the pit. But is it is the lure strong enough to pull you there once again, or do you have other things you want to take care of first?
Would Toren be ready to leave?
Well, probably not unless unless he is. So
I mean, you don't have to retrain in one giant session, right? You can just have 3 days of retraining and then continue later, or does it have to be a consecutive week?
let me see. I need to check because I was under the impression that it better be unbroken. And in either way, Toren himself probably will be a bit wary of going in with his training unfinished. Retraining feat or skill typically takes a week. Class features that requires more than a ton. Retraining might take even longer if it would be especially physically demanding and require travel.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you can break it down into chunks. So
Okay.
you basically got half of it done. Of course, you can ask your party to wait until you're done with your training. It's totally up to you.
Well, I mean,
I want to get out of Sandpoint.
yeah, that would depend what party would want to do. So because I mean, if we go into the pit, we're probably not gonna return until we for quite a while. So
Quillip is fine with either. Like, there's more to dig into the pit before leaving, but he's also happy to head out.
Yeah, I think Sevro's leaning towards heading out, but could be convinced otherwise. But he is certainly eager to get back to the pit.
Drava wants to check the boneyard or the pit. Not eager to run back into danger, but those questions burn at her, and I don't think I want to find any more answers in Sandpoint. Not at the time being.
I guess that's 2 for the pit, 1 neutral, and 1 for staying.
Like it.
So let's head out.
All right, so you get the band back together and head on out. Are you taking the same path as last time?
We
Well,
heard of
we
a different
know.
path, no?
Yeah, we learned of the better one, quote unquote. I guess this is the occasion to see if it's truly better.
And before we go, Toren will of course retrieve the striking hand wraps now from their enhancement.
Yes, that's a good point. There was something else that was under under construction, basically, work in progress. Do we remember which one, what that was?
Something else apart from the striking?
I thought that was the second item that you had commissioned.
I think it was the pole arm where we took the striking off to put it on the hand wraps. The pole arm from the statue of
Okay,
whichever
Sure.
lord that
Yep.
was.
Oh yeah,
Works for me.
we took a bow and put the +1 rune on the bow. Ketra should have it.
Ketra has a composite short bow, so that you're saying that should become a +1,
Yes,
and that's coming from.
from the Rancier.
Okay. Potency rune +1. There we go. Okay. I'll put that on your sheet so we don't forget that. All right. So you head on out and going south from the town, but then not following the Tarandarok River, but instead following, was it Quillip's? Yeah, Quillip's advice of going south first and then crossing Cougar Creek and going east all the way to Wisher's Well. And indeed, you find the Devil's Platter that, like, which is almost a vertical cliff for most of the part here, but it is indeed a lot rougher, giving a lot more handholds, and there are sections where it's much more gently sloped, and it makes it a lot easier to navigate. So it's really just difficult terrain essentially instead of requiring climb checks. So you're making much faster progress, and then from the edge of the Devil's Platter, it is indeed just about, what did I say? I think half a mile to reach the pit. And you stand at the edge of it. It's still this yawning, beckoning, open sore in the middle of the Devil's Platter. You look down, you see the shifting fogs that are 40 feet or so below you, and the rickety sets of ladders and steps that lead from one ledge to the next one. And you can't help but wonder what else is looking back from the pit up at you. And maybe we'll find out next time.
Pum pum pum.
I know what's looking at us down. Seven
No one
different
believes
kinds of
you.
them.
Sandpoint Devil. All right. Cool. Sorry that we're not
Good
going
session.
for longer, but I really only had prepared a downtime session, so
That works. That way Anthony doesn't lose out on the exploring either.
On the
That's
juicy
true.
bits.
That's true.
Sorry I was late and no camera today. I fell off my bike on the way home. So
Oh no.
no. Are you okay?
yeah, nothing broken. I am unfortunately too familiar with that, but it was not nice.